Then we approached our sales guys, who in turn approached our retailers, and they explained to them as a category captains on what they need to do with those shelf spaces. They explained to them that these declining brands are leading to a category volume decline, and based on that, if they if they keep maximizing those shelf spaces, that might lead to a category volume decline. So if they want to maximize the ROI as well as the category volume growth, they need to look at the shelves. They need to look at reducing those shelf spaces or delisting those brands. The retailer understood this analysis very carefully, and once they understood this, they actually approached our competitors for these shelf spaces. Based on that, our competitor actually made a distress sell of these declining brands, and that actually led to drying up of sources of funds for driving their drive brands. Net, understanding of competitor P&L, where they are sourcing those money from, as well as the category management, helped in influencing the business.
Let me give you an example of how finance is often guilty of looking at a problem only from the cost point of view. I was working on a cosmetic brand in Japan. The P&L suggested that the lipstick category had perennially negative margins. As a young finance manager, I was eager to recommend either exit or at least restructuring of this loss-making line. But when we did the competitive analysis, we found that all other players were continuing to stay invested in the lipstick line, despite the fact that most of them were making losses in lipstick. Interviews with experts suggested that the lipstick category played a very critical role in the overall cosmetics business, in that it incited the women to come to the counter. Women came, attracted by the lipstick, and then ended up buying many other more profitable products like foundation, like skincare, like intensive care, etc. We also found that the presence of lipstick line helped our brand keep an equity of an all-round cosmetic player. We then realized that removing the lipstick line would probably reduce some of the losses only of the lipstick line, but will have a significant detrimental effect on the overall cosmetic business. This knowledge of our business model then helped me as a finance manager offer in future much more holistic, much more strategically sound recommendations. I was the project leader in a company trying to launch a new soap brand in India. The multifunctional team was very excited given the large market opportunity of $1 billion. However, when I did the competitive analysis, we found 60% of the market was owned by Unilever. Also, Unilever was making 30% profit margin from this line. Further, when we analyzed the annual reports of the competitors, we found that they were on record saying that they will protect their market shares at any cost. When we researched the internet for comments of the management team, they also said that whatever profits they were making from the lines, they would not hesitate to spend all of it to protect shares because they saw India as a long-range market. This meant we potentially had a competitor with $200 million of free cash flow from India's soap business alone, and the competitor was willing to throw this entire money at any new entrant. With this knowledge, with this insight, we told management not to enter India despite a good-looking P&L, projected P&L, till they were willing to sign an equally huge check. Largely based on this competitive analysis, our company decided not to enter the Indian soap market. Another analysis that I led involved launching a low-cost sanitary napkin brand in a developing market. There was an existing player with leadership share. This time, when we analyzed the competitive P&L, we found that the competitor was hardly making any money on their sanitary napkin brand. They therefore, in our assessment, did not have the financial capability to either significantly lower their price or increase the spend on their marketing despite our launch. This emboldened us to launch our product, which very soon gained 50% share of the market. The bottom line is that a thorough understanding of competition can materially alter business decisions. Finance needs to lead the business in getting those competitive insights.
Now let me give you an example of bad financial analysis, right? I inherited a brand in terms of joined a team of a male grooming product and male fragrances brand in the UK. The corporate communications group handed me about 5,000 letters that had come in the past month from angry and irate consumers of the brand. Basically, the company had recently discontinued a shaving mug, which is basically a mug with a shaving cake in it and the old style shaving brush. So I went back and analyzed as to why was that discontinued, and the analyst before me had basically run an analysis in which the cost allocation, right, was being done uniformly based on the volume of the product and in some, for certain elements, on the sales value of the product. Now, so what he had uncovered was that the shaving mug and the shaving brush were completely loss-making. Now, when I dug into it, I found out that basically the mug and the brush were being made by a third-party manufacturer. Right? There was no marketing specific to those two SKUs that was spent. There was no more any management time being spent on designing or redoing the product. It was the same product for the past 5 years. So effectively, by allocating costs that those two SKUs had no connection to, right, the analysts proved that those two SKUs were loss-making. They removed them, and effectively the brand lost £200,000 per year of contribution that those two SKUs were making. All sourced from a third party, complete loss of £200,000 of money, and more importantly, a very large base of loyal consumers of that brand completely turned off from that brand because they used to use that product for the past 50, 60 years. Now it gets more interesting. Boots, which was the largest channel for that product, right? The chain of chemists, pharmacies, chemists in UK, they went to the same third-party manufacturer within months when they realized that there were angry customers walking out of their doors demanding that shaving mug and brush. They launched the same product under the Boots brand, and pretty much in 6 months they had the entire sale to them. A case of how sticking with simple analysis but not thought through well enough allocation models can play havoc with a brand.
Let me give you a real-life example of how the cascading choice framework has been used by a large company. The example is about Tata Steel, which is part of a $10 billion company called Tata Group. Tata Steel was at least the 55th largest steel manufacturer in the world. Their chairman, Ratan Tata, put a very bold goal of being in the top 2 steel producers in the world by 2012. So therefore, the very first choice, which is goals and aspiration, was set by the chairman of the company. From 55th largest manufacturer, they wanted to become in the top 2 in the next 3 to 4 years. From that choice flew the second choice. It was clear to them that to become the number 2 player in the world, they could not concentrate only on their home country, India. And therefore, they had to play in markets much beyond their home country. Therefore, the second choice was driven by the first choice, which was where to play choice of saying we will go beyond our home country. The third choice, as we have just learned in the framework, is around how to win. In this particular case, when the business management team sat down, they were clear that from 55th to the second largest could not happen in 3 to 4 years only through organic growth. Therefore, the how to win choice was to do a large-scale acquisition. Indeed, Tata Steel went on to acquire Chorus Steel, which was then the 9th largest steel manufacturer in the world. And together, Tata plus Chorus became the 5th largest steel manufacturer in the world. The remaining 5th to the 2nd rank would come from organic growth. This is how a company actually uses the cascading choice framework. First, being clear about what are the goals and aspiration, then from that being clear about where to play choice, and then from that being clear about how to win choice, and so on and so forth.